welcome to FBL Broadcasting, part of Canadian Corporation Limited. As always, we try and bring you everything live. And now today we've got another police and crime commissioner candidate from the Labour Party, and it is Laetisia Carter. Hello, Laetisia.
Hello. I have to say Labour and Co-operative Party. I'll get in trouble if I don't put that in.
What's the Co-operative? Is that?
Yeah, so I had to fill in an application form and apply with the Co-operative Party that's aligned. It's like a sister party of the Labour Party.
Okay, wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so I'm Labour and Co-operative on the ballot.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, I'm your Labour candidate, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're... Sorry?
In a roundabout way. But it's
in a roundabout way.
Like the co-op shops and mid-counties and, you know, the whole Labour and whole cooperative movement. Are you aware of it?
I don't know. I'm not aware of that, the cooperative movement. So, are you, sorry, your sound's cutting in and out. It's the wind, I'm sure it is. But again, you're outdoor knocking in Reading, aren't you? So,
windy, windswept Reading. We've been door knocking since 10 this morning, meeting lovely people here, and just generally asking what police and crime issues they have in the area. So it's the best way to find out, really, is come and ask people, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. And you know, obviously having these lovely interviews. So thank you for taking your time and coming on FBL. Right. So if you don't mind, shall we start with why would you take up this position? Why do you want to do it?
Yeah, why would you? Exactly.
Yeah, why would you? Because it's quite a big job, isn't it? So to speak.
It's a big job. It is a big job. It's 2.3 million people, biggest non-metropolitan police force in the country. Covers 3 counties. It's much bigger than many other police areas. But it's a massive passion of mine. I used to work for Thames Valley Police. It was my first job out of university. And I had a burning passion within me to make things better. I've been helping women and some men leave violent situations for the last 16 years. I'd like to seriously do something about the amount of time that police officers spend dealing with mental health. And they're the 2 main issues that when people call 999, they call for: mental health issues or domestic abuse. And they're my areas of expertise with my career. So I think I could really offer something in this role. I'm not a career politician. I haven't been to, straight from university, gone into a role where I'm, chair of a council. I've worked in the NHS. I've worked in mental health. I've worked for the police. I have my own business. I currently work with teenagers. I just think we need normal people with fire in their belly in politics that are actually going to listen and do something with it, do something useful that people will see the difference.
So you're saying basically with your career path, your knowledge and your enthusiasm and your fire in your belly, that's why you really want to do it. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to get this role back in 2016. It still blows my mind, Martin. I got 173,000 votes. 173,000 votes. I was just over 5% off winning. So although we have so many Conservative MPs and councils in the Thames Valley area, this is winnable. I won Reading, I won Milton Keynes, I won Slough, I won Oxford, the big urban areas. Yeah. And that's why I'm just so grateful for John Howson from the Liberal Democrats encouraging people on the radio the other day to vote Labour as their second preference, because you've got 2 preferences.
Okay.
And he's encouraging Liberal Democrat voters to vote Labour as second preference. Because
that's an interesting one. That's interesting. So you get a second preference. So how does that work? So if you're too close for first, it then becomes second. Is that what you're saying? They go on the second.
So we've had the police crime commissioner role for 9 years. Back in 2012, it started. It was a Conservative, created post taken over from the other body that oversaw. I'm trying to think of the name of it now. Sorry, it's just gone straight out of my head.
It happens. I do that.
Authority.
Sorry, what was that?
The police authority over policing. And then in their wisdom, the Conservatives decided to create police crime commissioners. And I'm uncomfortable with police and politics, especially as someone that used to live in an area with high crime, someone who's experienced crime, and someone who's worked for the police. It's not a comfortable fit, which is why it's so important that you get someone that isn't going to play politics in that role, that's actually going to respond to the issues that we see, and as much as possible remove politics from policing. But we are,
See, you're jumping ahead of my questions. That's unfair. That really is. So I find this really interesting because there's quite a lot. I'm going to throw something up on the screen if you don't mind. He says as he tries, you watch. I get this all wrong, and I'm gonna cry. Here we go. This should work. There we go. So I found this document called from the Police Federation, and obviously you're aware of them, aren't you? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So now, if I scroll down, this is a great statement. Every constable is an independent legal entity. The public's guarantee of impartiality. Officers of the Crown operate independent. Now, it says the Crown, not the government. Officers of the Crown operate independent of undue influence, interference, and with a personal responsibility, which requires a unique type of person and commitment. Now, you've just said, you're not going to push politics, but you're part of a political party.
Yeah, and you know what you get with me, Martin, because I'm not independent. Everybody has an agenda, let's be honest. Some people are left, some people are right, some people are pro dealing with the experiences they've had in life, some people are religious. In life, there are agendas. That's just a fact of life. No one is truly independent. But
don't you agree that, really what you should do is sever all ties with the Labour Party and goes independent?
No, because broadly speaking, I have Labour values, and I think that people want to know what they're getting. Look at what's happened over the last 10 years of a Conservative government. 20,000 police officers have been lost. We've never seen police mental health and police morale lowest. And I think people deserve to know that if I'm a secret Tory voter, secret Conservative voter, who holds those values, or someone who's going to be forthright, stand up for them and say, no, this isn't acceptable. And that's what I promise you as a Labour politician, if you like. I promise to challenge what's happening, and I have done throughout this campaign very vociferously challenge what's currently happening and what's happened in Thames Valley in the last 9 years.
First of all, can I just jump in with thank you for being one of the first of, well, Alan was the first one, but obviously you're the second, but out of people who are part of a political party. So it kind of gives them the heads up of the question. So again, you didn't know I was going to ask that question, and nobody knows what questions I'm going to ask. I try my best, obviously, not let anybody know except for when the interviews happen. The constitution for a police officer, so our actual constitution is basically they've got to be impartial. The police have, the constable, which means if you're part of a political party, then you're going to be told, for instance, by Keir Starmer, or in your case, that can come down the line about toe the line, push their agenda, which is that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I've been a councillor for 7 years.
Yeah,
I represent West Oxfordshire, and I'm a Labour councillor in West Oxfordshire, believe it or not, Tory heartland.
Well done.
As soon as you're signed in, Martin, you represent everyone. Most of the work I do is for people that would never vote or who have been Conservative in the past, and they say to me, I've never voted Labour, and I say, I don't care. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to serve you, represent your interests and advocate for you, whether that's getting you a new house that you deserve because you're living in really difficult circumstances, or you need advocacy with other issues. When it comes to it, you've got to serve people, but that's why I've been really clear with my 5 points of what I intend to do. I'm not going to pretend that we have an issue with something just because it's going to get me votes. I think very cynically, the Conservative line has been, what will get us the votes out, and it's whipping up people in a quite a cynical and negative way. What I'm talking about is young people, victims of crime, domestic abuse, violence against women and girls, and the need to do something about cybercrime, 80% of which is utterly preventable. And we've seen, elderly people, vulnerable people losing their life savings, losing their money because everything's being forced online and they're not sure how to navigate that world. And that's falling at the police's door. So I've tried to take quite a social justice stance and, just basically campaign on issues that are actually occurring and talk about things like mental health, which we know is a problem.
Okay, so still going back to this political party thing, would you not agree though that you literally are kind of, it's crossing the boundary? So if I bring up the document again, which is another part of it, which is, it says here, the roles of each element of the tripartite arrangement are as follows. The Home Secretary is answerable to Parliament and the public for the provisions of an efficient and effective police service. The Home Secretary sets out annual strategic policing priorities and a statutory performance framework against which police performance will be measured. We'll come back to that in a minute as well, by the way, and compared. 2, chief officers retain overall operational independence. The chief officer is responsible for the direction and control of the force, including civilian staff and delegated financial management. 3 is PCCs will aim to cut crime and deliver an effective and efficient police service for each of the 41 forces. They will hold the chief constable to account for the delivery of the force and will be responsible for setting the force's budget. Now, with that, it clearly shows that that it's separated. Yeah, you've got politics, you've got policing, and you've got judiciary. That's how it's all set out in our constitution. Magna Carta. Even though again, I don't know which party brought out the new Magna Carta, but that's in the framework there. It's there. Don't know if you've ever heard of the new Magna Carta. Have you heard of that?
No, I think I have actually.
There's so much. Sorry,
not the new Magna Carta.
No, the new Magna Carta. It's been drawn up. There's a paper on it on government site. The government site, .gov. So bearing that in mind, so I've explained that. Would you not agree that really you need to keep it separate? And if you're part of I know what you're saying, and I understand that you're saying, I'm my own person. I can, I can still be part of a political party, and even if I do come away from it, I'm still got those values, correct?
Yeah.
But you really, I personally think, really you should come away, not be part of a political party, because then we're going to get what you believe is right, and there's nobody turning around and saying to you or bringing it down the line, so to speak, you need to toe the line here.
Martin, I don't know how much you've seen about my background, but I'm not someone who gets told what to do.
You don't look like somebody gets told what to do as well, to be fair.
I'm a party that that is pretty much aligned with what I'm trying to do and would push me and encourage me to take my ideas further. I've never felt held back by the party or conflicted. Obviously, there's been times when issues have happened and I've not agreed with that. But I think we have more autonomy perhaps than you presume. And you are electing a person, but I am attached to a party, and I'm quite comfortable being honest about that. And if you don't like the system, that's fine. But if we decide not to vote, or if you decide you disagree with it to such an extent that you don't vote, you just get more of the same. You get more conservative power. And if you look around the country, we do have some independence around the country. But mainly this post is won by political parties. So
yeah, but that's where it's wrong.
Well, maybe, but that's in our sphere of influence. I can't influence that.
But yeah, that's for the oversight of the. That's for the oversight of the government. Sorry, the wind's really cutting in now. It's still wind, it's the weather.
Marilyn Monroe, I think.
There you go. Yeah, you do.
Going with it, Martin. But I see what you're saying. But I save my energy and my passion for the fights that I can actually win. There's so few women standing for this post. A quarter of all PCC candidates are female. The rest are men. We're half the population, and crime really does impact women in such a way, such an extreme way, that I just think it's quite rare that I'm putting myself forward. I'm not retired. I'm the only one out of the 4 candidates who's also holding down a full-time job. I've got young children at home. I'm already a town and a district councillor, and I'm doing this on top. And I'm doing that because I really care and I really want to make a difference. I really want change. And because I was so close last time, it's not impossible. I see what you're saying about politics, and it's a massive point for people, politics and policing. And with the police crime bill that's just come, I mean, the police should never be the foot soldiers of the state. They never should be. And
But they are. But if you're controlling the chief, if you can sack him or her, sorry, that's very, very sexist to say him. I don't know who is actually the chief. The chief, to be fair, I haven't got hold of him. But that's where politics comes in, because as I say, our constitution clearly states you keep politics, policing, judiciary.
Yeah. So then you're with the Conservative Party. Why did they create this role? Why did they allow this role?
Why did they create it? Why did a politician create it? So they can control the police.
It's a land grab, absolutely. But what do? You have 10 years of Conservative government, and then also give them the police and let them reduce our policing numbers and not deal adequately with domestic abuse that kills women every 3 days. Do you allow them to continue in the way they are, with the failings, the growth in antisocial behaviour, the growth in knife crime in Thames Valley? Violent crime is up across the country, and don't get me started on the policing of the pandemic. No. Please tell me about the policing of the pandemic, because that's a very interesting one, and I want to talk about that. Again, I tell you what, all you PCC candidates, I don't know. Secretly, you must know some of my questions, but there we go. Yeah, please let's talk about that. Actually, let's come off the policing of the pandemic. Please tell me what you think of it. What do you think of it?
I'm asking the questions. Did you watch when I interviewed Adam Robinson?
I haven't yet. I haven't had a chance.
So see, if you'd have watched that, you'd have known. But it was 2 hours long, and I do understand it's a bit too much, and you're busy trying to get elected, but you're forgiven. But what's your outcome of it all?
Yeah, so we've got this vote on Thursday, and I after the year that we've all had, it's hard. I'm going to be honest, it's been really hard on people's mental health, on people's finances, really tough. And I think the police have been pushed into a position where they've been expected to do the impossible. We've seen, I think it's like 68 changes in the rules, the COVID rules, over the last year and a bit. What do you mean?
Do you mean the passing of all our authority to Boris Johnson, or your MPs passing their authority over and giving him tyranny, basically?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on this. Yeah, it's been hard, and it's been very mismanaged at every scale. And if you look through my social media, you'll see that I've been very vocal about the failings and about the impact it's had on people. We've gone from being relatively free people to handing over a lot of control, and it's not a comfortable situation to be in. Imagine policing it when you join the police force and you want to protect people and preserve life, and you're turning up, and making people, stay in their homes in isolation despite the impact on their mental health. It's been really hard. Really hard.
Yeah. So what about the way the police have been? Again, this is where I think politics is crossing borders, but the way that they've been policing the demonstrations of the freedom marches.
What do you think about them doing that? I think it's totally undemocratic to shut down protests because they're too noisy. Where would that have left the suffragettes? Where would that have left many of the advances in social equality if we allow them to take that step? Why would they want to? Why, after the year that we've just had, when many of us, yourself included, it feels like we've been living in a police state. Why would the Conservatives, when we're just starting to come out of that, bring in this cynical, negative, controlling bill? And it just tells you everything you need to know about them.
Well, what about you can protest but quietly? Is that what you're talking about, that bill?
Just that almost desire to control and to dictate how we live our lives. Just, if people feel passionately about something and want to be vocal about it, then hear us, hear what's going on.
Exactly.
And do something about it. Change the way you rule us and govern us, and change the way you manage things.
That wind's trying to get in on this conversation. I can tell you that right now. Okay, so with the policing, now again, my last interview with Alan, I was really explaining, the police have such a hard job, and it's really hard for them to, deal with all the situation, but they are being pushed to do stuff that is against their oath. Now, that they have been pushing, I mean, people have been literally arrested for being part of a protest. Do you think that's right?
No, of course it's not right. Of course it's not right. No, unless people are being abusive physically, you have to protect people's right to protest. And I've signed to say that that's something I'll do.
Okay, now I can tell you this, the Thames Valley Police, I've hardly got anything about them. So I've got a couple of videos to show you. Now, this is kind of a directive from them, just to let you understand what's going on out there. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, and that wind is really trying to creep in. So again, it's a bit distressing, this video. So you might want to watch this carefully, Laetisia. So this is
carefully.
Huh?
How do you watch things carefully?
Sorry, yeah, good point.
With consideration, I guess.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So with this person was putting out flyers in regards to what's going on. Again, I haven't verified it all, but still, it was distressing enough for me to watch that I feel I am compelled to show you this. Okay.
Okay.
Let's, if I can click the right button, there we go. What do you think to that?
Hi there, Martin.
Hiya. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? No? You can't hear me now? No?
I can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's. Hang on. 1 sec. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Laetisia, can you hear me?
I still can't hear you.
Okay, 1 sec. Let's have a look. Let's try this.
Sorry, Martin, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I can hear you.
I can't hear you. Sorry, guys, I can't hear you. And Martin just showed me a video.
Hello.
I couldn't really make it. I could see, I think it was a woman being arrested and held down.
That's correct.
I couldn't hear any sound, so I don't know what was being said or...
Can you hear me now, though?
I'm just waiting for Martin's question, but I can't hear him at the moment. And as you can see, I'm in a very windy part of Reading. Which we're just trying to work with and not get flustered by. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do, Martin, because I know this is live and I can't hear you.
Yeah, if you can't hear me, then there's not much I can do, is there? I've tried to change my connection.
Not me, I've turned my volume up.
Okay, 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Okay, I'm just waiting for it to get sorted, but...
So if you could just, anybody out there, just let me know if you can hear me as well. But let me just see. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? 1 2 1 2. No.
Now.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't. No,
you can't
sorry. Nothing. I can't. I can lip read a bit. You said vote for Laetisia on Thursday from 7:30 in the morning until 10:30 at night. Vote Laetisia, both preference. Thank you, Martin.
Give me 1 sec. I'll let's do this. Can you?
He showed me a video and it's cut off. I don't know. Maybe it's me.
Can you come back? Can you log off and come back into the studio?
I still can't hear you, Martin. Sorry, I'm not great at
I thought you were lip reading. Hang on.
I don't know if there's anything else you want me to say or whether we pick this up later. Yeah, so we've had an interesting discussion about politics and policing and whether they're, oh golly, let's see, log out and back in. Okay, I'll try that. Okay, I'll try that. Okay, if I don't get back in, thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me your time and not judging my wild hair. And I do hope you can find the time to vote on Thursday for the Police Crime Commissioner. And if you can find yourself voting Labour, and if you're normally Liberal Democrat, and you can vote Labour for your second preference, that would be amazing. Only 5% off last time, people, 20,000 votes. So this is possible. All right, I'm going to try and log out and back in.
Okay. Thank you.
This is quite nice having all this power. Okay.
There we go. So while we wait for it to come back, which is quite funny. Live tech, you got to love it. Let me know in the comments, please, people. You know, again, what do you believe that, for instance, it shouldn't be, candidates shouldn't be part of a political party? Also, let me know if you can actually hear me, because I'm now worried that I've changed a couple of settings and you all can't hear me. Oh no, I can see from my settings that you can. Thank God for that. So, Diamond Rocker 2210 girl, thanks for becoming joining us as well, a new member. Excellent, brilliant. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Now, there's quite a bit here with, for instance, all the things going on. Now, the reason I'm pushing a bit about the demonstrations and a bit about the way the police state is sort of going is if people can't actively demonstrate without fear of, you know, prosecution, fines, and all that, then we're losing something that's in our, that's in our constitution. So tell me what you think. Now, there is one thing. There was the last demonstration, which was a couple of weeks ago. You might have seen in all the press that the police officers. I watched a whole. I've watched lots of videos in regards to this, and the police officer who you might have seen on the front of some of the mainstream media and in the newspapers is this gentleman. So I'm just going to play you this video, and before I actually play it, the people who are part of these demonstrations are peaceful. They all are. I mean, there was it looked like 1 million people there in London 2 weeks ago, and the marches are still carrying on. I think in a couple of weeks, maybe in a month, I don't know. I kind of get told this sort of information, or people pass it to me, I should say, just to let me know. And I will try and get to these demonstrations to see and make sure, democracy and everything's being adhered to. But this video is what somebody took. I mean, the demonstrators were actually that. I mean, the police came in. They tried to arrest this group playing music, a little sing along, sort of couple of drums and stuff, and they didn't let them do it. And they pushed the police back. It was that they tried to rush and push their way through a whole group of police officers, and that's where you see on the newspaper with the truncheons and stuff. But the police officer who was on that on that newspaper. Sorry, I'm a little bit obviously waiting for. Oh, Laetitia's back.
I'm listening.
Yeah, there you go. Excellent, Laetitia. I'm just gonna quickly play this clip, which was from the police officer at the demonstration a couple of weeks ago, who actually got hit. I mean, it became violent. Well, it became violent, but it didn't become violent. The police had rushed in, and tried to arrest these people. And actually, the demonstrators actually created a barrier between the police and the demonstrators, who were really furious with what the police had done. And they were protecting the police. They were literally pushing these people back. And they actually caught up with the police officer later. So I'm going to play this. It was a nice little bit. And this police officer, what he says about the demonstrators, I just want to show that the mainstream media is pushing a narrative that demonstrations are all nasty and, violent. And they're not. But the police aren't helping matters by going in and trying to arrest people when they shouldn't be. But here we go. Just quickly play this.
That's the same with COVID.
Sorry?
Don't you think that's the same with COVID, where there's kind of cynical reporting of people mixing?
Yes.
I think it's that's just so, this whole COVID idiots narrative is just so unnecessary when so many people have made so many sacrifices and actually gone along with advice, whether they agree with it or not.
Yeah.
I think that's a shame, especially in such a massive issue like the pandemic that it's been reported on so cynically.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that then. Let me just quickly play this video, else I'll forget. And then people go, where's the video? Right, just so you can see it as well. Oh, we might. All right, let's see if we lose you again. Hopefully we won't. So we'll just check this out. If you do, we know what to do, and then we won't play another video. You get away with it. But it did. This is really weird. It's done it to you. It really is. It worked fine the other day. So let me just quickly play this. Oh, here we go.
It just takes a small group, so... And I'm really sorry that you've ended up this way, and I'm glad to hear you're all right.
I'm fine, thank you very much. Honestly, do you know what? Most people are all concerned about us, so...
Yeah, of course. I was actually trying to stop people.
There was more people trying to stop it than what started, it doesn't reflect on people who are here, their cause is fine, all right? Bless you, nice.
That's pleasing and that's nice. He was... Can you hear me?
I can.
So that was a little bit showing, the police are very nice. They, they do understand that they have to go in and do these things. And like he said, generally everybody's, a majority are all good. There's just a minute lot. But that was actually caused by the police storming and trying to arrest somebody, and the people wouldn't allow it.
Right. I think that is one of the problems, isn't it? Is that we get into this narrative of the police being good or the police being bad, and actually there are some of individuals that are going to deal with pressures and stresses in different ways, and you're going to have people that you're going to disagree with them and hate the way they do things, but
I thought that was lovely from that police officer. He's been on the front of newspapers, I'm sure, with the cuts and stuff, and the narrative's being pushed that look what they're doing, and actually it's not the case. And he's just said clearly there in that video, majority, there's only a small minority who are violent, but that wouldn't have happened if the police didn't try and arrest this little group of people who were singing and playing a couple of drums. Yeah, this was in the Hyde Park.
Decisions there that weren't good.
But that's causing a situation. Do you see what I mean? And this is where I'm going about politics, policing, judiciary. They've been told to make sure this all happens and people are not allowed to congregate. They didn't stop 1 million people, in London, did they? Whether it was 500,000 or 1 million, no number. There wasn't somebody there with a clock counter, counting how many people walked past. But the pictures of that, shows, it looked like 1 million just walking through the streets of London. That wasn't stopped. But when they, when things start to scale down and they can actually control and take people and arrest them and take down their details. One of the things is asking people for their information. Well, the police can't ask you for information unless you're in the act of committing a crime or you have committed a crime.
Well, no, if you've got intelligence that there's something going on, they need to ask people, if they're involved. It's called stop an account. They can stop and search, stop an account. They can ask you about what you're doing, who you are. Okay,
so they can that's actually legal. That's not against any human right that you can sort of just pick somebody and say.
No, you could disagree. You could you don't have to cooperate, but then if there's enough intelligence, you're wearing the same color clothes as someone who's committed a crime in the area, and you fit that description, they could decide to arrest you. A risky approach,
okay,
but a lot of people are stop and search, and that's increasing all the time. The Home Office are really pushing that, and only 14% of stop and searches lead to arrest. And it's quite dehumanizing to be stopped and asked what you're doing and asked to account for your actions, especially when you're from an ethnic minority group and you already feel like you're over policed and under protected. 5 times more likely to be stopped if you're black.
Yeah, that needs addressing, doesn't it?
It does.
So shall I read out your statement, or do you know your statement off by heart?
You can read it out. That'd be very nice of you.
Yeah, so Laetisia Carter, born and raised in Oxfordshire, and elected councillor in West Oxfordshire for years. I know the Thames Valley area and its challenges well. Alongside energy, authority, and fresh thinking, I bring extensive professional experience. I have worked in strategic roles across the Thames Valley, including for Thames Valley Police, Thames Valley Criminal Justice Board, HMCS, and writing national policy and running national nationally recognised programmes, working with the Home Office and Ministry of Justice. I currently work in mental health for young people, combined with my councillor role and raising 2 young children. As your representative, I will stand up for victims of crime, regularly engage with the police and public, ensure accountability, and work to reserve damaging cuts affecting numbers of PCSOs, police and counter closures. Specifically, I pledge to cut crime by prioritising action on violence against women and girls, fraud and cybercrime, support for young people, local, visible, accessible policing, and listening to the community and putting victims central to policy, which is what you've been saying really in this interview so far.
I hope so. Yeah, good. I hope that's coming across, Martin. That's good.
That is. So, I mean, violence against women and girls, you know, it's violence against everybody as well, isn't it? I mean, that is a thing at the moment against women and girls, which is...
It's certainly not a thing at the moment. It's been a thing for many years.
No, but what I mean, it's starting to come to... It's really getting addressed now, isn't it? Would you agree?
Reporting of domestic abuse is going up, which is good because it means that more people are recognising it's a crime. We still have a woman dying every 3 days. We still have horrific stories of, I think it's 30 men every year die of domestic abuse. There's a lot to do. You know, refuges are closing. Funding isn't ring fenced. There's so many failings in the government on this area. There's an awful lot to do.
Okay, so how would you change that then? So if you become commissioner?
So there's so much I'd want to do. I'd like to set the force. Oh golly, lots of people here. Well,
let me see. Can we sit? No, better not. We're live, so better not. I don't know if there's that thing about, you know, but they're in public, so technically you can. So go on.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm a bit out of breath. I'm walking up a hill.
It's okay, Annika.
Sorry, what did you say?
It's okay, Annika.
Right. Yeah.
Showing our age there. There we go. Showing the age there when you say that, isn't it? Really?
I know. It does.
The young people.
An 80s girl, doesn't it?
Yeah, youngsters will be going, what are they talking about? But there we go.
Yeah, look it up. Great, it's very interesting.
Treasure hunt. There we go.
She runs around and she tries to make things better in a short amount of time. She galvanizes people into community action, which is kind of what we're doing here today, isn't it, Matt? I'm ready. James, I'm ready. Got James with me here. So what would I do? First of all, I get it. I understand domestic abuse. I understand the escalation. I understand how difficult it is for people to report it. Most people want it to stop, but want to remain in the relationship they're in. And it's very shameful to admit that, you know, someone that you love is doing that to you, or it's happening in that environment. So I would be talking about it, encouraging it in meetings. The recent police and crime panel meetings discussed it once. You know, it was very vaguely and subtly touched on, which is not good enough when we know during the pandemic that domestic abuse has absolutely soared. So calls to national charities have increased by 700%. That's 700%. So for Thames Valley Police, PCC, just to be mentioning it in one line and not delving into how they can do better is absolutely unforgivable. And on that awful week where we saw...
Oh, we lost you. Hello.
The death of Sarah Everard. And we saw, you know, hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Me now?
Yeah, we can. Your picture stopped. Your picture stopped. That's the wonderful Wi-Fi network, or the 4G network. It's not as good as people think.
Okay, is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You're a bit staggered. We can hear you. That's the main thing.
Okay. I'm walking up a hill.
I can tell.
So I'm not as out.
This is what people do when they're going for election. This is like, you know, you're actually seeing somebody who's going door to door here, which is, you know, it's a lot of work.
I hope you're enjoying your Sunday road. But I'm trying to graft. I'm trying to get myself out there and support wonderful local councillors as well. I'm here with James. He's standing for council in Reading.
Okay.
Here he is.
Hello, James.
Weekend. There's 5 of us, and we've had the MP for Reading down with us today, Matt
Okay.
Rodder. Yeah, and we're just talking to people about the options, really. It doesn't have to always be Conservative, national, local, PCC. There are other options, but to be fair, it is a 2-horse race. It is going to be between me and Matthew Barber. So
Okay.
use that vote, really carefully.
Okay. So going back to your statement. So what about fraud and cybercrime? I mean, actually, we kind of missed out a little bit about obviously women and girls and the violence towards them, and in relationships and stuff. So you're going to try and make sure that it's given more time and that solutions are actually put in place. Is that correct?
Yeah, much more time with the wonderful charities and refuges and councils that are working so hard. They haven't got the funding they need to deal with this, but I will work with them. Every year I'll hold a conference on domestic abuse and violence against women and girls broadly, and I want to find out where we've got better, where have we improved, where do we need to improve.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so much I want to do.
Have you looked at is it a sort of funding plan you're looking to look at then? Is that what you're saying?
You have to put money where your mouth is. There has to be available. If you're not ring fencing services, and due to austerity and that ideological choice, you're cutting vital life and death services from communities at council level, then you're going to see an increase of deaths. You're going to see an increase of, people staying and putting up with situations that they shouldn't be in. So, there's so much I want to do. I could fill 2 hours just on that, Martin.
Okay.
But I have been helping women for the last 16 years and men. There's been a couple of men that I'll never forget their stories. And the intimidation and the control and the fear that people have, it's horrific. You just don't have the autonomy over your own life. When your place of safety, the place you put your pajamas on and you relax, is somewhere where you're looking over your back and you're not sure if you're safe. No one deserves to live like that. It's 2021.
Exactly.
If you can't control your temper, if you can't treat people with respect, you don't deserve to be in a loving relationship or around kids. Just go and get help. Get on a perpetrator program. Take responsibility for your actions. Don't torment and bully, people that are living in your house.
Okay.
And if women know they've got someone making that point day in, day out, hopefully they'll feel much safer to make that phone call, get their partner arrested, and get themselves onto one of the many courses that I'm going to fund, like the Freedom Programme, which helps support mainly women, because, let's deal with the statistics as they are, get past that situation and not go on to another abusive relationship. So yeah, there's so much I could do, and there's so much I will do, and there's so much I've done already to help women and girls and men.
Thank you. No, thank you for all of that. Yeah. What about fraud and cybercrime?
Yeah. So as I said, 80% of that could be prevented. We're being forced online. Banks are shutting in our market towns and on the street, and we're being told by councils and by the police, in fact, as well, because we've seen counter closures across the Thames Valley and changes of the opening times. So we're being told, move your life online. And at the same time, we're not being given that support to protect ourselves. Many people don't understand when there's a very sophisticated advert, to book your COVID jab, for example, that it's fraudulent, and that, you could end up being scammed, losing money. So much more communications is needed on that.
Okay. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on, isn't there?
Oh, it's massive. I think it's grown. I'm not going to give you a stat because I can't think of it off the top of my head, but yeah, it's been a huge increase, especially over the last year.
Okay. Support for young people?
Okay.
How are you going to do that?
Yeah. So this is another quite emotive one. So I've worked with young people now for a number of years, but in their mental health in schools for the last year. And, you know, young people are the future. They're so important. And there's so many crimes that impact them. County lines, these very young, very vulnerable people being forced to carry drugs, deal drugs, handle cash.
Does that cross? That's called something, isn't it? Cross borders or something? I can't remember. County lines. That's it.
Yeah. So county lines is something that disproportionately impacts young children and young people, as does knife crime, gang violence, honour-based violence, forced marriage. They're areas that I used to oversee in my role at the police, Thames Valley Police. And we had a very upsetting honour killing at the time when I was overseeing honour-based violence. Other issues that affect young people are in fact domestic abuse, because many people don't realise that when there's violence at home, many young people find themselves out on the streets, you know, getting involved in antisocial behaviour because there is no safe place. Youth services have been absolutely decimated by this government. Cut. No support really in the CAMS, child and adolescent mental health services. You know, that's insignificant to deal with the need. So there's a lot. It's a perfect storm, really. And it's something that I want to look at very closely. How do we identify vulnerable young people that might be drawn into? Another example is child sexual exploitation. I'm sure you're aware of the big cases around the country, in Oxford, Banbury, up in Rotherham. You know, we need to make sure that we're identifying vulnerable young people.
Are you going to look into that more then? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Because these sex rings are just, you know.
But let's be honest, the police are cut to the bone. You know, they're reactive. We don't have what we used to have. We don't have proper neighbourhood policing. If people...
But do you agree though? The police are, I mean, they're going for targets to show stuff. It's, you know, that's why they're reactive. They're short-staffed, they're overworked, they're having to push up for these targets, you know, and make these arrests. Alan said something the other day, I can't remember what the word was, he used it, but it was about they have to get an outcome. But how can, you know, it takes a lot of investigations to deal with a child sex ring or anything like that, or child exploitation.
But that's the crime that the public want the police dealing with.
Exactly.
I don't think chasing detections is the main issue. I just think taking 20,000 police officers off the streets, and it's not only that, it's the number of PCSOs we've lost. It's the number of police staff we lost, because police staff do an amazing job. You know, it was my role in the police. Missing people, overseeing honour-based violence, community relations. There's so much police work that police staff can do, which is cheaper, more efficiently done that way, and they've been lost as well. It's not just police officers, and I think that anyone that supports a Tory government that's done that to our police force, when you value policing and value your safety, is colluding with what they've done. I think it's completely unacceptable.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, again, very interesting point. No, it's an interesting. No, I was too busy listening. I was like, I forgot about what I was going to.
Yeah, Martin, are you voting for me yet?
I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to discuss my voting rights or what I'm going to do. But it's interesting you said about the two. Actually, I need to look into that, because
I
mean, are they both counted, or is it just they just count the first vote and then what?
Well, they count all the first vote, and then they knock the two that have the least.
Yes.
This is the third election for PCC we've ever had.
Yeah.
And both times it was between the Conservatives and Labour. And last time, 2016, when I stood last, I got 173,000 votes. I was just over 5% winning. So, you know, and I won all the urban areas.
Sorry, you were 5% winning, but are you saying they then counted the second votes and then you lost?
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So we've got an election process which is supposed to be democratic, which is first past the post, isn't it?
Well, that's what people want, but that's not what we get, is it?
Well, that's you're thinking country wide, aren't you, or national? But I'm talking about when you do an election wherever, like local election. If you have one more vote than somebody, doesn't that mean that you get the position?
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so it's first past the post, isn't it, basically? So if now you're saying that if you vote, and then so let's just say you are my first vote and Alan is my second.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just say that's the case. Sorry?
Very kind of you.
Yeah, well, you've given me your time, so I'm just saying that's this is theoretical. I could say Alan's going to be my first vote and you're going to be my second. Actually, let's do that. Actually, Alan's my first vote, right? Because you've now said that. I can't have that snippeted out. And you're my second.
It's likely to be between me and the Conservatives.
Okay, so Oh, rewind. Right, okay. Okay, you're my first vote and Matthew's my second. Okay, but what you're saying is I could be voting for both of you at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. You could vote for me first and then vote for Alan, but
you don't get,
the thing is,
sorry.
you'd be better off if you wanted to vote for an independent. You'd be better off voting Alan first and me as second preference, because I'm almost guaranteed to go through to second preference, whereas it's highly likely that the Lib Democrats and independents will be knocked out in the first round. So you would be wasting your vote if you voted for, as I said.
Okay, but that's a bit wrong, isn't it? I didn't know that was the case. I should have done my investment. I was too busy looking up this office constable document from the Police Federation, which I kind of want to go through. But I need to look into that, because that's not right. Because
whatever you do, it's going to be a count of votes, isn't it? Wherever you do. I couldn't tell you why there's a first and second preference, but it's a massive, as you can tell from the numbers, it's a massive vote. It's huge. We're talking of 2.3 million people here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a big offer. I'll have to find out do you know who I speak to about that?
You could speak to, I don't really know, Electoral Commission.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And you could get advice from any of the major parties. I expect they'd explain why, although they might not agree with it. They would explain why.
Okay. Right. Okay. Next question. Here we go. Do you know the police oath?
I do. I do know it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring it up on the screen now. Hang on, see if I. So, okay. Gone to the wrong place as always. So, do you know what you can recite it, or you know a little bit of it?
I know I know what it consists of, but I couldn't. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I am going to have to finish fairly soon, because I've just joined up with my family.
Okay.
Imagine it's Monday.
Yes, bank holiday Monday as well, which totally forgot.
Yeah, Monday, and as much as I'm a passionate campaigner and I want your vote and I want to do this job, I also need to strike the balance. And
okay.
Yeah.
All right, quickly then, if you're going to do that, I won't bring up the oath. I forgot what I was going to go with the next thing now. God blimey. Oh, I don't know. All right, we'll bring up the oath, and I'm sure I'll come back to it. Let me just quickly bring it up. What? Oh, it's done. That's because I kicked it out. There we go. It says, I do solemnly sincerely declare and affirm that I will well and truly serve the Queen in the office of Constable with fairness, integrity, diligence, and impartiality, upholding fundamental human rights and according to equal respect to all people, and that I will, to the best of my power, cause the peace to be kept and preserved and prevent all offences against people and property, and that while I continue to hold the said office, I will be the best of my skill and knowledge, discharge all the duties thereof faithfully according to law. So that's a powerful statement. I love that. Are you going to are you going to make, and I said this to Alan, make them say that at the start of their shifts, because that statement clearly states that they are not they're not supposed to push government agenda, and that they're there for the people.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you raise. You want that reinforced and integrated right into everything the police are doing, and I think that's a really important point you make. I'm not going to say that I'm going to I wouldn't want to control officers in a high pressured.
That's not control. That basically is what this is their law. This is what they dedicate, you know, that this office, or what the powers that they have, is to the monarch, not to the government. And this is where I come back with the, you know, you should sever all ties with political parties. I mean, did the political party pay up the £5,000 for your entry, or did you pay that yourself?
No, political party pay that.
Yeah, see, and that's not, again, it goes with whether or not this is a political position, which it's not. It's a people's position.
Yeah.
That's what and I know police. I've got friends who were police officers.
They've encouraged me to stand.
Yeah, no. Again, I encourage you to stand, but I encourage you to stand as independent and sever all ties, because that's the Constitution.
Yeah,
that's what this position is. It's not a position to deal with politics. You need to make that decision yourself and say, you know, again, it's only what I believe and what I've read, and it's in this document. I'll put it out there for people to see and, you know, and understand. This needs to be, you know, we need to stop politics controlling police, because police are doing a great job, or they're trying to do a great job, and they can't, because I do believe that political persuasion is coming down the line and they're overstepping.
I think it always has. And, you know, I think it's worse than it's ever been.
Yes.
And I think there's much that could be done about that. And all I can do to reassure you is to say that policing and politics is uncomfortable, and I will do all I can to uphold the democratic process and keep that separation.
Okay.
I don't think dictating to police officers that they read that out would be the way to do it, but I think there's really, it's worth thinking about, and I think it's worth finding ways that we can make sure that's, you know, front and center of what they do, and that they're reminded of that. But no, I'm not going to say I'm going to get them to read that out before their shift.
Okay.
I know how stressful it is when you're being briefed on the night before's crimes.
Do you know every time every time I read that out, that's like, I feel it empowering. It's empowering. It's like, actually, that is my duty. Yeah, it's to safeguard, because I am a member of the community and I am paid to safeguard the community, not bow down to political persuasion. And a police officer has to, you know, they are liable in a court if they don't act according to law.
Yeah.
So that's a bit like, actually, yeah, because if they're told to do something, for instance, a lot of these arrests that are happening are against human rights.
Mm-hmm.
So they are actually, you know, they could be prosecuted for that, personally. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to safeguard them, because I know what they do is hard, and
it is.
It's unfortunate. And we're moving on to that, because I know you've got to go. So there's one more thing I want to quickly go over, if you were so kind to give me another couple of minutes of your time, which is, are you aware, or do you know of Peel's 9 principles?
Yeah, I do.
He's
do.
Called
John, isn't he?
Huh?
John Peel, I think.
Robert Peel, 9 principles of police.
Sorry.
I'm not being funny. I only learned this about like 3 days ago. I honestly, it's just like, you know, I do my investigation as best as I can. So again, I bring it quickly up. I say I quickly bring up it. This screen is there we go. So in these basic mission, the principles are what laid down, and we've kind of moved away from them. But the best, you know, number 9 is a very interesting one. I don't know if you can see it, so I'll read it out. The test of police efficiency is the absence of crime and disorder, not the visible evidence of police action in dealing with it.
Yeah.
And this is where, you know, creating wonderful bills where, you know, we pass legislation and people get fined for doing whatever to allow to pay some private company, it seems to be the way, is an interesting one, that we are, you know, we're actually ticking off like, oh yeah, we've done, you know, there's been 3,000, you know, cases against women. But actually, the way that this should be done is there is, you know, I mean, a police officer goes out and they try to deal with the situation there and then, and not try to, you know,
deal with the staff.
Don't get me wrong, violence against anybody is wrong, absolutely, without anything. But
I agree with you, Martin. I think this is a good place to leave it. But what I believe in is people feeling safer online, safer in their homes, safer on the streets, and that confidence in the police is the best it can be, so that when they have that first contact with the police, because most of us don't need to come in contact with the police, thank goodness, but when we do, that we know they're there and that we know that they're equipped and able to respond. And that's what I believe, that you should feel safe in your home and on the street and online, and that's what I'm pushing for.
Okay, well,
so
yeah, brilliant. Okay, all right then. Well, Gina, will you be? Sorry.
It was really lovely to speak to you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Andrew, will you be available on Wednesday at 6 p.m. if we get enough?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay, brilliant.
I'll confirm with you, but I'm pretty sure I haven't got a clash on Thursday. Have you got all four of us, or just?
I believe it's just you and Alan at the moment, but again, I'm trying to get the other two, so we'll see what we can do. Because I think to have you all talking about some of the things I've thrown at both of you and Alan is be quite interesting. So
okay, well, excuse the very windswept, video and the out of breath video up the road.
You've done very good. You've definitely got your 5 minutes of exercise in. There is definitely no doubt about that. So
asking.
I wish you all the luck, and have a very good bank holiday weekend, or bank holiday, what's left of it, and hopefully the wind will stay off so you can do a little bit more canvassing.
Take care. Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
On Thursday.